Okay.
Hi!
Welcome to
The Shmoozing!
So we're in our winter gear.
Yes, I'm in my homeless look.
Rained this morning. We didn't really feel like getting out of bed.
Yeah, we even have our tea with us.
Yeah, but
good for the winter.
we did it because we care about you.
We do.
And we have a series to talk about.
Yes, yes, yes. And today we are talking about
the facts of life.
The facts of life.
Yeah. So this series was like, the premise was that there were 4 teenagers with Mrs. Garrett who took care of them. She's like this very motherly character. And a lot of their challenges, you know, they have to solve them within the 30 minutes of the show. You know, it's very nice, you know, like think about it, if we had all the challenges in life and you have like only 30 minutes.
And less, because it's commercial. You have also
Maybe
commercials.
Less, right.
So
right.
in
like
between, you have somebody washing your clothes, feeding your dog, you know, taking care of all your problems, and your issues get solved.
And you say, okay, this issue you dedicate 20 minutes to, and you solve it,
and you're done.
And you're done.
Next,
if it's a big issue, it'll go on for 2 chapters.
That'd be great. Oh, that would be awesome. I think that it was a series that showed me that I do not like dormitory. And here in Israel, it's very prevalent. You know, you send your kids to yeshiva, you send your kids to Opana, like at least by us, like in the religious Zionistic community. And I actually think I have issues with it.
Yeah. What bothers you about dormitories?
Oh, I want my kids home. I want to know where they are. I want to know what they're doing, who they're doing, what they're doing, if they're doing, how they're doing, with whom they're doing. With my older 3, so my older 3 were in Malay Libana, and it's close, but I didn't know what they were doing.
Okay.
And it turns out they did very interesting things.
Good things?
Well,
not only
we haven't gotten there yet, but they're good kids. I'm assuming. Like it was just like, but now with Bracha is home, and she's not in dormitory, and the difference is night and day.
Yeah.
I think kids should be home. What do you think?
Well, for me, the dormitory was a real savior.
Really?
I really didn't want to stay home.
Really? For
me, like my mom would tell me, if you're not going to behave, I'll keep you home. You know, my wish was to get out of the house that I grew up in, and I got it fulfilled, and I was very happy about it. And it really, I think it really, in certain ways, it saved my life, because you know, I can meet other girls that came out from a different background. I was so terribly messy. I was a schlumper. I was like, I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know how to, like, basic hygiene, basic, you know, putting stuff away. And I had to live with roommates who couldn't tolerate that. And so like the first year, my roommates were like, okay, you put all your garbage under your bed and that's okay. But like the second year, I had like this really tidy girl I was rooming with, and she didn't put up with my shit, and she really helped me. And, you know, she taught me.
Which dormitory you were in?
I was in Chorev, right, in Jerusalem.
Wow.
And also getting to know the teachers, and also because I wasn't home, so I went to my teachers' homes and I got like a different role modeling, you know, to see how they behave with each other, especially couplehood, because my parents' relationship was really not a great one, not something to learn from, and motherhood. And so I got like different pictures of how life can be. So maybe that's also something about this series, The Facts of Life, that like you can see that life is not necessarily what you know,
right? And
it could be different. And also when you're a parent and you're not really their parent, like you're Mrs. Garrett's role. So I think it's a little bit easier because you're a little bit more detached emotionally,
Right.
and it gives you more perspective, and it gives you more, how do you say, shuvadat in English? Clarity, and you're not that easy on the, you know, it's a little bit more controlled.
Right. Right. Are you still in touch with the girls that you roomed with?
A little bit. I mean, we're on WhatsApp. We have like a WhatsApp group.
Nice.
And you know, when something happens, unfortunately, like a brother of one of the girls was in an Arab attack, and he's in the hospital. So we're all praying for him. And but you know, one of the friends also organized like we had a brunch together. And a while back, one of her favorite teachers organized a meeting. Her husband actually organized it for her birthday. Yeah, it is fun, and these are people that, you know, you learn to get along with no matter what. And I think also in this program we see that, we see like the different characters that's so different from each other, and they would never, like, I think, consciously choose to be together in the dorm, but you know, this is the situation, deal with it.
Right.
So
interesting. I'll tell you my experience. I was here for my year after Israel, right? Like all these Americans, they come to Israel, whatever. And my first thought, honest to God, was, where's the boys? How am I going to live a whole year with that boys? I had come, you know, from a school where, you know, my whole life I was with boys in the class. And all of a sudden I'm like, just girls? How boring. But there's like a certain, I think there's a certain freedom when it's just girls. It was really hard for me. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna live here. And at the first, you see, you know, all these girls, I'm not making a stereotype, but they were from New York, and they would come down to class, you know, with the makeup and the hair and the this and you know, and I'm going, well, why? Like, why? There's nobody here to impress. Like, why are we doing this?
yeah.
And slowly they learned that, you know, there's no good looking guys here, and slowly, you know, my homeless look became the school homeless look. You know, we would all come down to class, you know, like this, and it was very freeing, I think, that experience. But I know what I did, again, going back to, I know what I did my year in Israel. And I was far from home, and I had nobody really looking out for me. I mean, I did, but not really. So it reinforces my point. I do not want my kids. Before I left, my mother says to me, Tova, don't try anything, because if you do, I will hear about it. And I'm like, yeah, $7,000. And that year I was going out with a guy in the most remote part of Israel. Like, nobody should have known me, nobody should have seen me. One of my mother's friends actually saw me.
Oh, wow.
And she reports back to my mother, and she's like, oh, I saw your daughter, and she was with this guy. And I'm like, and then when I, you know, back then you wouldn't talk. It wasn't like WhatsApp, like, or Facebook, where you can talk all the time. And it's free.
Right.
Every minute was like, so I would call my parents once a week. And so on our weekly conversation, my mother was like, so I heard. And I'm like, ah! But I tell that to my kids now. I'm like, you try something and I will hear about it. Somehow, somewhere, I will hear about it. Don't try anything. Who did you like on The Facts of Life? Who was your favorite character?
Besides Mrs. Garrett? I think
yeah, she's your favorite character.
Natalie.
Mrs. Garrett was your favorite character? Like you.
I really like her warmth. She's such a warm person. You know, she's strict. She has her rules, but she's warm too. She's, you know, and also she's cynical.
Right.
And funny. And I like that. And, you know, always like doing stuff for the girls. Cooking something up, baking.
It's so funny because I never even thought of her as a character. Like I she's just like part of the show, but like in terms of the characters, the girls. But you're right, Mrs. Garrett was totally a part of that whole building the family thing.
Yeah.
Interesting. I honest God. Wait, and okay, so Mrs. Garrett and then Natalie.
I always root for the underdogs.
Right.
You know, I like Joe because she's like a tough girl.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, she has to deal with stuff that it's not easy. Like every time we see her like in depth, so we see her dealing with her background. She comes from a poor family and she wants to really achieve stuff. And I can understand that. Yeah. I can relate to that. And also, you know, that anytime you put on this tough facade, there's always something soft underneath.
Right.
But Natalie is like a spoiled brat a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. But she's very conscious. She's like conscientious. How do you say that? You'll definitely say that she really wants everything to be okay, everything to be all right.
Right.
Everybody to be pleased and happy and do the right thing all the time. So I can relate to that as well. And she's Jewish.
Wow. Okay. I love Joe. I love Joe. You know who else I love? I love Blair.
Yeah.
I did. There's something in me that I never had that. I was never a Jap.
Right.
You know, I don't know if it's okay to say that. You know,
we're saying everything.
To heck with politically correct. No, politically correct. I never had that Jappiness.
Yeah.
And it was always something that, you know, and in a way she's poor because she didn't have a family that was looking out for her. You know, she was delegated to the maids or to the this or to the that. And so she had all the clothes and she had the lovely hair, but she didn't have a family that was, you know, supportive, and she didn't have a normal family life. It was, you know, time was money. And so I don't have the time, I'm going to give you money.
Right.
And I always felt sorry for her. And underneath that, you know, bitchy, waspy Jappiness, there was a heart of gold in there.
Yeah.
There
she
really
did a lot of good stuff.
She did.
Yeah.
And at the end, after like a gazillion seasons, she becomes the dean of the school that they went to. What was it called? I don't remember. East Side. If you guys know, let us know right in the comments. We'd love to know. She became the dean. And why did she become the dean? Because they were going to close it up. And she says, you know, it's one of the final episodes. You know, they're all grown up. They've all achieved whatever. And they're closing the school. And she's all upset about it. And the girls are like, okay, you know, like, get over it. She's like, no. This was like the first real home that I had. And, you know, she donates money, she becomes the dean. And then she's left with all these girls that, you know, they don't have a home. They don't have like a life. And I think that was the unifying factor of the Facts Life, that each of the girls there did not have a home. Like there was something that was missing in their life. And they were brought together on that show to, you know, to have some sort of semblance of family or
yeah.
So yeah, which there was like different time periods. There were like when they were at school, and then when they had the food store. Remember that?
Right.
And then they had the like toy and candy stuff store. Right? They like different periods in their life, and yet they all they remained friends throughout all those periods. But which of those periods did you like the best?
Well, I like the food part. Like I saw an episode where they were stuck with like tons of fruit cake. What's this called? Something for Christmas. They have like these fruit things. And well, first of all, the fact that they work, you know, it's not only a dorm where you live and you study and somebody else does your laundry, and you know, you have to work for and make some money, and I relate to that as well. And food is a comfort zone, I have to say.
It is.
So when you work around food, it's like it's a nice place to work at, you know, in my eyes,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. Did you ever think of opening your own store? You're a pretty good cook.
Yeah, I'm a good cook. I think it would take too much out of me, you know, too much time, too much effort. Yeah,
because you like doing it. You're
I
good
like
at it.
doing it, but it's like you have to do it like for hours and hours without end. It's weird. You can't open like a food place just for, you know, I'll do it Monday and Tuesday. I don't know. And there is
I
one,
want to, yes.
there is an
to
Israeli chef. It's called the pasta Nazi. Oh my God. He opens whenever he wants to.
Oh my God.
And people stand in line for his pasta. And it's not kosher.
Wow.
But, you know, he does his own thing, and whenever he feels like it, he opens up, and whenever he doesn't feel like it's like,
I guess you have to have a certain amount of notoriety. Notoriety? Like fame.
yeah.
To do that. Like you couldn't just say, okay, today I'm opening, today I'm like without anybody knowing you.
So most places you have to work certain hours of the week, and preparing food has a lot of stuff behind the scenes. It's not just, okay, here's your pizza. You know, you have to make the dough, you have to clean up after you. It's a lot of stuff going on. Yeah. So I didn't want to bother with that. You know, I mean, writing is much easier in that way. It doesn't mess up anything. So yeah, also being a therapist, it's, you know, no cleanup.
Well, I mean,
except for cleaning up the soul.
Cleaning up the soul, yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to just take a broom and dustpan and vacuum out your soul, like all the garbage just get out there?
Yeah.
There's a lot of garbage in there.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And we're doing a podcast about watching television, so more garbage just keeps getting in there. But I think this podcast allows me to like release it, you know.
Yeah.
I actually liked when they were older and they had that toy and candy thing, when they were living together as adults, and you know, they're facing different problems, but they still have that network, you know, going on. I love friendships that are old. I love new friendships, but like there's something about old friendships that, you know, like, you know, you're just, you know who I am, you know who I am without all the garbage. I don't have to explain myself to you. And you see that in their relationship. You also see that like later on when they had the reunion. They're all like this like family type, you know, characters, and it's just beautiful. Like it's just so beautiful that they were able to depict that in over years,
right?
You know.
And I think it's something about like the community we live in here in Shmoozing, and just in general, I think there's like a community that becomes your family.
Yeah.
And I think it's not only in Israel, probably also in other places, but like, you know, each person and you know their stories, and when you get together, it's not like you have to put on like make yourself somebody else from who you are.
Right. Like the Cheers thing. You want to go where everybody knows your name. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Maybe we should talk about Cheers.
Maybe next time.
Stay tuned. So there was I think there was also like a lot of moral dilemmas that they learned, and it was, you know, growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, it was like, you know, you see this on television and it's reflecting back at you. You know, am I going to cheat? Am I going to give into peer pressure? Am I going to like do something that I know is morally and ethically wrong? And I think that was very big lessons, like all the TV shows that were moral. I'm not talking about the ones that were not moral, but the ones that actually had some sort of like a lesson. Right. I think it helped me, you know, because you've already seen it on television, you know what's going to happen. So, okay, so it makes it easier.
Right. You know, and also it's all wrapped with humor.
Yeah.
So that makes the medicine go down much better.
I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, because when you see it and you see the characters dealing with their problems and everything, but then there's like the humor here and there and here and there, and you see, okay, so I can also go through this and I can survive it and even maybe come out of it a better person. And I think like that was something about the way the show was built.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody came out to be like a villain, even if they were really snotty in the beginning or very obnoxious or did something really wrong. In the end, you want the people to connect to these characters. So you have to always find their bright side and their good side. And it's like Rabbi Nachman says, we have to lelamed zchut. We have to find the good points in each person. So I think that's what the show did, because it really connected us to each and every one of those.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a character that said, "Ooh, I hate that one." No, like everybody was like, okay, so she's a little bit like this and she's a little bit like that, but I can relate to it. And so I think that's a really good point about it, about this show in general, and about humor.
Mm-hmm. Okay, is there anything else that we want to talk about on this show? I think we covered a lot.
Yeah. Tell us what you think about put your thumbs up for us, subscribe, so you know when the next chapter is coming up. And we'll definitely
we are going to be here next week, God willing, to give you your weekly dose of humor.
Yeah, and schmoozing
and
thoughts.
Yep. And so this is the end of another episode of
The Shmooze.
Thank you for joining us.